Now in this demonstration I'm going to show you how to do a dog's eye. And first of all, we put the light in the eye using the white pencil. And the reason you do this is because we work primarily from light to dark. Therefore, we need to put the lights in first. If you try to put that light in over the top of all the dark colours, it would be very muddy. Now, although we're going to be cutting in on the white, and we will interfere with it to a certain extent, the white will always be there, so we'll be able to retrieve it. Now, what I'm using now is the grey. This is the mid-grey. I've already put the eye surround in here. It doesn't look much at the moment, but it will do as we move on. First of all, I've got to go round this eye here with the grey. I'm going to put the grey in the centre, but I can't do it yet because otherwise I'll lose the line. So carefully around the edge now. Having put that in there, immediately I'm going to go in with the next colour. Now this is a brown. It's a reddish brown. It's 283 in the Faber range. And it's a colour that I use a lot in dogs' eyes. Now we're not going to use too many colours here, so it won't be confusing for you. And you think, well, aren't you taking your time? Folks, it pays you to do this. Take your time because you can fill up, go around that light. That's the most important thing. And as I said, we will interfere with that white, but we will be able to bring it back, I assure you. So there's the grey and there's the brown. Now you could argue, well, why don't you put the brown in instead of the grey first? If the brown went in, well, if that was the case, it would be too rich. And we use the grey, as we've used it for the surround here, as a softening, dampening agent, if you like. Means the eye, and you see now how good they look. Yes, and it means the eye won't be too rich, or the brown wouldn't be too rich. Okay, so far so good. Now, I did say I was going to put the grey back in. Now I can now, because we can see the difference between the grey and the brown. And when I put my next colour in, I can't do it on here because it's impossible here. You can't see it very clearly, so it wasn't worth doing it. But we've got to go in with a darker colour on that. So what I'm going to use is a Payne's grey. Now don't press too hard with these colours, you don't need to. But we could have put the black in directly on top of this, which this next colour I'm going to use, but again, it's a good idea to have a cushion colour in here. So now, we can start perhaps put just a little suggestion in there. That's it. And now the black. Once again, there is no need to press hard. The black is a very well, all the colours I've got here, the pastel pencils, are responsive. Now you can see the dog's eye emerging. Now, it is very dark eye, so what I've got to do in a minute is I've got to darken the surround. And I'm going to use Payne's grey for this. Now, this is on top of the brown. There you go. Same here. And now we're going to put the black in. Now the black goes between the eye and the slightly lighter fur area which I've got there, and here we've got to leave just a little bit of light. Let me just show you what I mean. That's pastel paper that hasn't been touched, so I'm just going to put a little bit of white in there for the moment. Bring the black in again, and in around there. Now leave this area light for the moment, and then you can use the black again just to pull back on top of that 181. So now what we're doing is graduating from here to here, leaving the vast majority of that brown alone. And you see how nice that looks. A little bit more strength on that pupil. That pupil doesn't have to be very strong. And then again, black here. Now that's come up really well. A couple of little things we can do just before we move on. Just make sure we've got the white in here. Now if you haven't done other demonstrations, you'll find that I do show how to do this. So if you're doing in sequence, if you're not doing in sequence, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to put just a little bit of light in here as well. It just emphasises the strength of the eye. Got it? The other thing while we're here is we can just make sure that white, which I put on originally, is just a little stronger. You see how nice that is? Now let's move over here because we can do the same thing here. A little bit of light on there. Let's make it that little bit richer. And what about all the rest of this? Well, what I would suggest is here we put just a little bit more white, because you've got a little bit of white of the eye. It's just showing just there. So put that in, come back in with the black, and cut around like that. And then this can be filled in. Now this eye, you may have seen other demonstrations with dog's eyes that I've done, but this one is quite dark. So I've deliberately gone in and showed you a really attractive dark eye, which is, as I said, it's largely dark, but with this little hint of brown. Now you can come back in with the brown. This is the brown we used just now. And that can serve to give you a really, really attractive effect. We come in here, we can do the same thing again, just on the bottom part of that eye. Well, that doesn't look great. Not a lot more you could do. What I will do is to make this just a little more attractive. I will just put a little bit of light here. Now this can go over. You remember when I said I did the white, I said you need it to be bright. You see how bright that is now? If you try to put the white on top, which is what I would have done here, it doesn't, it goes very dull. But that's exactly what we're looking for here. So this can be done afterwards. See that difference? Now the other thing is, the lights in here aren't quite as bright, so we can just temper them with just a little bit of the grey on top of the white. So it's still there, you can still see it, but it's not as bright and shiny as that is. So there we are, folks. That's all there is to this demonstration. As I said, there are others that I'm doing in this particular animal, namely the ears, the fur, the nose and the background. So be sure to look out for them. A few little finishing touches there. it's a really good idea just to make sure you get a contrast between the light below and the eye itself. Just need to revisit with the pencils again. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll of course see you on the next one. Bye for now.